You're listening to the I'm Busy Being Awesome podcast with Paula Engebretson, episode number 278. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so glad you're here today because we are diving into a topic that, frankly, I think your brain is going to love because it is all about dopamine. Now, if you've been tuning into the podcast for a while, you may have heard me talk about dopamine in the past and how our ADHD brains are wired to seek out dopamine. Studies show that as ADHDers, we have less dopamine in our brains. And dopamine is this feel-good neurotransmitter that gives us this boost and, importantly, is often pretty misunderstood. When we talk about dopamine, we often think about these dopamine hits, right? And that they are released when we're doing things we really enjoy. And you know what? That's true. Okay. We do experience the release of dopamine when we're doing things that we really enjoy. But what I think is especially fascinating is that we tend to experience the biggest releases of dopamine in the pursuit of something. Whether we are searching for something or scrolling for something, or the classic example of the slot machine, that pursuit of the jackpot. It is the pursuit, the seeking out of something, that anticipation of reaching the reward that actually dumps a huge amount of dopamine into the system. Okay. Now, in some situations, dopamine can be a great motivator. It can really tap into that pursuit. It helps us keep moving forward and working toward the thing that we want, but it can also get us into a bit of trouble when we are chasing things that don't actually serve us or our big picture goals. Okay. So today what we're going to do is talk about a strategy that helps us redirect that dopamine seeking behavior when it's the latter category of situations where we are working toward or trying to get to something that's not actually serving our priorities, our big picture goals, anything like that. Okay. Now, the context for this episode, the inspiration for this episode was actually a coaching call that I had with We're Busy Being Awesome last week. And one of my clients shared just such a relatable story. So she's planning her daughter's third birthday party. It's this awesome fairy themed event, and she's just so excited about it. And she noticed some perfectionism sneaking in, this perfect vision of this magical world with giant mushrooms and fairy flowers and these whimsical decorations everywhere. And they're like giant versions of it. It's so fun. She showed us some of the different decorations she's found because she wants to create this backyard experience where it feels like you're stepping into this magical world, which is so special. But what she noticed start happening is that she continued looking for more and more decorations. Okay, so she first found some decorations on Facebook Marketplace. And after finding a handful of really cute decorations for this fairy themed party, she noticed this pull to continue searching Facebook Marketplace. Right? She wanted to keep going back to try and find the next great discovery, the next fairy themed whatever, even though she actually had enough to create the landscape that she wanted, this magical space. And on the call, she noticed that she just felt this pull to keep searching, to keep seeking and finding the next deal, the next piece to add to the collection. And that is such a perfect example of dopamine in action. When she's in the pursuit of finding the next fairy flower or whatever. Okay. It kept pulling her back to try and find the next discovery. And we all know these thoughts, right? What else might I find? What if there's another great deal? I just want to search a little bit farther. What if I could use a different term and something new pops up? We all know this in some form or another. We all know that feeling of getting swept up in creating the just right look or aesthetic or trying to find the perfect whatever it is we're searching for. And it's hard to stop looking. Or maybe for you, it's in reading reviews and needing to read just one more to try and find all the information before you make the decision. So whether it's a birthday party or a project or home decor or whatever, our ADHD brains can latch onto that ideal vision. And suddenly we're in this deep hyperfocus or even a hyperfixation where it's all you can think about for a really long time as we're chasing that next dopamine hit. And when we're in this space, it's easy to lose time and feel out of control and end up much farther away from where we intend to be. And in fact, given the timeline of this episode's release, I think that this episode's coming out the last Monday of November. I think that this episode can be especially relevant given the time period. We are absolutely heading into the holiday season. One might argue we are in it. And so I know both from clients and from friends that there is this encroaching holiday stress, right? It's creeping in. And whether we're thinking about upcoming holiday plans or finding the quote unquote perfect gifts or chasing down the best Black Friday or Cyber Monday deals, I mean, this time of year, we can all feel quite a bit of pressure, right? Our brains have a lot to say about this time of year. And for us ADHD brains, that pressure can trigger a whole lot of responses. Maybe you find yourself getting pulled in that allure of hunting for the ideal gift online, and you're clicking through page after page of deals trying to score the best bargain or find the most thoughtful original gift. Suddenly, hours and hours have passed. Or maybe it's the overwhelm that happens when your brain is thinking about making sure everything unfolds perfectly for your holiday party. Or you find yourself worried about certain interactions that you're going to have at the office gathering or at the big family party or at your friend's New Year's event, whatever. Okay. And that big emotional experience might have you wanting to completely check out. Right? So we're looking for some sort of dopamine release to get away from the discomfort of the overwhelm, the pressure, the stress, the worry, the anxiety. And so you suddenly find yourself in that TikTok spiral or spending an entire afternoon, entire day playing your favorite video game to escape for a while, to escape from that discomfort of the potential overwhelm or anxiety or what have you. And it's so easy to turn to these activities for that quick break or that quick distraction. But before we know it, because they are literally designed to capture our attention and to keep us there, we tend to spend way more time than we originally intended. And what's more, that event, that gathering, that conversation, that project you want to finish, it's still waiting there for you on the other side. So annoying, right? So this is why the topic for today is especially apropos for our current season, because what we're talking about today is creating a dopamenu. Okay. During these especially intense seasons when everything seems quite chaotic, having a list of go-to activities that release that dopamine we're seeking can be so effective in helping us stay present and stay grounded and focused on what matters most. Okay. So today we are talking about creating a dopamenu, not through the lens of trying to deprive ourselves of fun or downtime or enjoyment. No. What we're doing here is making sure that we are getting that dopamine boost that our brain is seeking, but doing so through things that actually feel good and support us during this particularly busy time of year. Speaking of which, it is that busy time of year, and I want to remind you that my holiday season blueprint is available for you to help you make your holidays as stress-free as possible. It is designed to help you simplify and plan and actually enjoy this most festive time of year. So whether you are juggling travel plans or managing family gatherings or trying to make time for self-care or get through the entire gift list or what have you. This guide has literally everything you need to stay intentional and organized throughout the season. And the best part is that it's a one-time purchase because you get the PDF and you can print it out and use it year after year to guide your holiday experience. So whether you are setting your seasonal priorities or creating a budget or managing relationships or working on self-care or coaching your brain through difficult conversations, this blueprint has your back, no matter how hectic things get. So you can grab your copy today through the link in the show notes, or you can go to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/holiday blueprint, all one word, I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/holiday blueprint. And let's make this season one that you actually look forward to and look back on fondly. Not just this year, but for so many more years ahead. Okay, so as we head into the holidays, in addition to having our holiday season blueprint, we can also look to our dopamenu. We can think about our dopamenu as a tool to help us navigate the season with a little more ease, a little more intention, and a lot less overwhelm. Okay, so let's talk about how we can make that work. How do we use a dopamenu and what is it? Okay, well, actually, before we dive into the details of what a dopamenu is, I want to take a minute and acknowledge that I did not come up with this brilliant concept. Okay, I wish I did. I did not. I've come across it a lot within the ADHD community on social media and Pinterest and all the things. But when I was doing some research, I believe that it was originally created by Jessica McCabe from the incredible How to ADHD YouTube channel in collaboration with Eric Tivers, who is the podcast host of ADHD Rewired. I believe this started with them. I could be wrong, but what I do know is that I did not create it. And I think that the credit goes to them. Okay. They have both created, just so many helpful tools and strategies for ADHD brains. And this dopamenu is certainly one of them. So huge shout out to both of them for this powerful concept of the dopamenu. If I'm crediting wrong, please feel free to let me know if it actually started with someone else. But I believe it was these two. And I will link to the YouTube video in the show notes if you want to check it out. But for now, let's actually talk about what is a dopamenu. What is this thing? So essentially, a dopamenu is a list of activities that gives your brain that quick boost of dopamine that it's craving without kind of pulling you off track and sending you down that endless rabbit hole of distractions that exist out there that tend to fuel the dopamine cycle very easily. Okay. And think of it like a restaurant menu. Just like a restaurant menu, we have our dopamenu with a range of options from which to choose. Maybe you want something light or something comforting, something energizing, okay? The dopamenu works the same way. When your brain starts chasing that dopamine hit, whether it's scrolling through Facebook Marketplace or binge watching the latest Netflix series or endlessly scrolling TikTok, you can instead reach for your dopamenu and find something to fuel you that's more in alignment with how you want to spend your time. And again, just like the restaurant menu, you can choose from a bunch of options and you can choose the option that helps you meet your current needs the most in the moment. And you can also sit back knowing that it's aligned with those bigger priorities. And in fact, Jessica McCabe even structured the idea like an actual restaurant menu where there's categories of appetizers and main courses and sides and desserts, which again makes it just super practical. And my ADHD brain loves it. It helps us to kind of navigate that craving for dopamine in a way that works for us. And as I mentioned, since Jessica McCabe and Eric Tivers came out with this concept, it's really gained a lot of traction with a lot of people sharing their own personalized dopa menus on social media to, help them manage their stimulation, their motivation, and that kind of thing. So it can just be such a supportive resource. I mean, imagine you are scrolling through Instagram or you're scrolling through TikTok and you picked up your phone originally with the intention of just checking a post or watching a quick video that your friend sent you in a text message or something. But suddenly you realize, I don't know, a couple of hours have flown by and your brain is like, what in the actual world just happened? Now you could keep scrolling because it is so easy to get caught in that dopamine loop. But your brain also knows that it doesn't feel great doing this, right? It usually doesn't feel super good. Just like eating only dessert for every meal all the time, our bodies don't usually feel great with that approach. So having that dopamine menu is like having this pre-made list of alternative options that also feel good, right? It helps you to switch gears before you get so far down the rabbit hole, so far down that spiral, and it offers some choices to help you stay aligned with how you want to be spending your time each day. And again, this is especially helpful for the ADHD brain, which is always on the lookout for that next dopamine hit. We do tend to hyperfocus on the activities that give us that quick reward, even when the rewards aren't necessarily moving us forward in the direction we want to go. And this is where that dopa menu comes in because it offers that quick, accessible way to interrupt the pattern. Instead of letting the hyperfocus, that impulsivity take over, we can turn to that menu of pre-chosen activities that do help satisfy that craving for dopamine, but in a way that doesn't derail us. It's that chance to redirect our energy into something that's more aligned with our current priorities, whether that's taking a short walk or texting a friend or doing some sort of fun, creative task that we've been meaning to get to, whatever it is. Okay. And there is so much power in having our dopa menus at the ready because it keeps us in the driver's seat. Instead of feeling caught off guard when we notice those impulsive behaviors show up and we want to just grab our phone or buy the thing or eat the thing or scroll the thing, right? We instead have a plan in place. We don't feel like we have to scramble to make a bunch of decisions in the moment when we're feeling that urge to go on TikTok or whatever. By doing a bit of pre-work, by creating our dopa menu, we're really supporting our executive functions because we're helping pre-make decisions. We're helping that decision-making part of our brain that can sometimes struggle under pressure, right? We're instead giving it a roadmap to follow so that when the urge hits, we can still get that dopamine boost without veering off course. I mean, as always, it's all about working with your brain. Instead of fighting against our brain's natural tendencies, we want to work with it. We want to acknowledge, yeah, my brain is going to seek additional dopamine. I have ADHD. That's probably what's going to happen. And I can decide ahead of time where I want to get that from. With the dopa menu, we have the tools to help direct that craving toward the activities that feel good, that fuel us, that keep us moving forward. All right. So we've talked about what a dopa menu is and why it's so impactful for the ADHD brain. Now let's talk about how to actually create one that's tailored to you and your brain and your needs. Okay. So think of this process as designing, again, a smaller version of your personalized toolkit. Now you're creating your personalized dopa menu, okay, to support your brain when it's craving a little bit of a lift. And in fact, because this is such a supportive strategy, I decided to create a free download that walks you step by step through creating your very own dopa menu. Okay, so it has all the prompts, all the suggestions that we're going to talk about in this next section written out so that you can go step by step through the process and create your dopa menu for you. And that way it's ready whenever you need it. So you can grab this free PDF, this free workbook that walks you step by step through the process, and you can get it through the link link in the show notes, or you can go to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/menu. Okay, so head to the link in the show notes or go to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/menu, and then you can follow along as we go step by step through this process together. All right, so if we're going to create your dopa menu, the first thing we want to do, step one, is to identify your triggers. Okay, so this first step is to understand what typically triggers your dopamine seeking behaviors, and also your usual go-to activities that you do in response. So we're pausing here and we're thinking through what you tend to reach for when you're seeking dopamine, and then also the situations in which you find yourself doing that most often. So what are my usual go-to behaviors? Is it scrolling? Is it gaming? Is it shopping? Is it, whatever? And then when do you notice yourself doing these behaviors most often? Once you know this combination, it becomes so much easier to then recognize when you're starting to seek out that next dopamine hit, right? This awareness is really key to redirecting your behavior before you get pulled all the way down that rabbit hole into a super time-draining activity. All right. So step one, identify what those behaviors are and when you tend to turn to them most often. Step two is to brainstorm some alternative dopamine hits. Okay. So we want to start brainstorming activities that can give you that quick boost of dopamine that also keeps you more in line with your bigger goals, your priorities, and how you want to be spending your time. And here's where you can start categorizing some of these different activities into categories of appetizers, main courses, sides, and desserts, just like that restaurant menu. Okay? So the appetizers, these are the quick activities for an immediate dopamine boost. And this is one of the things that I just loved about the work that Jessica and Eric did together, is the way that they created these different categories. It's such a great way for our brain to be able to identify what we need. So maybe we need some appetizers, right? These are the quick, immediate dopamine wins. They don't take a whole lot of time, but they give you that little spark of dopamine when you need a fast pick-me-up. They're great when you feel that surge of restlessness or you need that small energy boost to get through to the next task. So maybe you take time to really savor your coffee in the morning. And rather than just kind of drinking it as you're doing all the things and not really enjoying the coffee, maybe you slow down for a couple of minutes and really shift your focus into enjoying that cup. Or alternatively, maybe you are craving some sort of sensory thing, and so you get like a sparkling water or something, and you notice that fizzy sensation and the little bubbles and everything kind of refresh your palate, and that's just that little boost to get you moving to the next thing. Or maybe you're doing some sort of 2-minute mindfulness check-in and you're pausing and you're doing a couple of deep breaths and you're bringing awareness to your body and your surroundings. Maybe you take a couple of minutes to look at a favorite photo album, like an actual one, not on your phone, but an actual album. When's the last time you've pulled out one of those, right? Or a favorite piece of art, or just a favorite picture that you have and something that makes you smile and it gives you that lift. Maybe you need some movement. Maybe you do 10 jumping jacks or you run up and down the stairs a couple of times. Maybe you play with your pet, just a couple of minutes of snuggling with your pet, or singing along or dancing to your favorite song. Turn up the music, listen to some music, move your body a little bit, sing along. Maybe, again, you want more of a sensory thing. You want to pop some bubble wrap or something. You have that like satisfying pop of the bubble wrap or walking on the bubble wrap or smelling something really pleasant. Maybe you have a love of senses. One of my clients just loves different scents. And so Maybe you have essential oils or a particular lotion or a candle or something that gives you that lift because of the scent that you love so much, right? I'm just giving a bunch of random ideas here, but these are short activities that you can fit into just about any part of your day without a huge time commitment, right? That's what the appetizers are. They give you that little lift. Then we get to the main course section. Okay. So these are more substantial activities with a bigger dopamine reward on the other side, right? Main courses, they do take a bit more time. They might take a little bit more effort to get into, but usually they offer that deeper fulfillment as well. Okay, so they tend to require a little more focus, maybe a little more substantial dedication or time. But again, they usually offer on the other side a more substantial reward when completed. So this might look like dedicating time to learn a new skill or improve on a new skill, or you're working on a language, or maybe you're starting a new DIY project and you want to work with your hands and really lean into this new DIY project, or you're reading a chapter of a book. You're actually getting to that book you've been meaning to read, or you're writing in your journal. You're taking some time to really explore some of your thoughts or set intentions, reflect on your day. Maybe you do a workout video. Maybe you volunteer your time. Maybe you're gardening or tending to plants or doing something outside. Maybe you're playing a musical instrument, cooking a delicious meal, working on a jigsaw puzzle, taking a walk in nature, right? All of these different things. Again, I'm just listing ideas that are coming to mind, but these are all different types of activities that you can turn to when you have a little more time and you want to engage in something that leaves you feeling quite a bit more recharged. It's that give and take. You are willing to put in a little more time for a bit bigger reward on the other side. Speaking of sides, sides are an interesting one because they are there to essentially enhance the task that you're working on or the project that you're doing and make the experience a little more enjoyable. Okay, so these are great additions to the everyday tasks. And they are activities that can often be paired with something else that you're already doing. Essentially, what sides are what I talk about as great options for parallel tasking in episode 199. I will link to that in the show notes if you want to pop back to that episode for a deep dive into the concept. But essentially, sides are activities that you can do while parallel tasking. So maybe you're listening to a podcast while also folding laundry, or you're playing some upbeat music while you are washing the floor, or you are using a fidget toy while you're on a meeting to keep your hands busy while you're still focused on the conversation. Maybe you incorporate aromatherapy, some sort of scents that can help keep you focused while you're studying or you're working. Maybe you are a drawer or a doodler when you are listening to a lecture or in conversation. For myself, I love to crochet when I'm learning or listening to something new. It gives my hands something to do and actually lets me focus and learn what's going on more easily. Maybe you use a standing desk or you walk while you're on a call. Okay. Again, sides are really ideal to pair with your everyday tasks, and they add that little fun or focus boost, and they make these routine activities a little bit more enjoyable, especially the ones that might feel kind of boring or monotonous, or your brain just has a hard time staying focused. Okay, so we've talked about appetizers, we've talked about the main course, we've talked about sides. Now let's talk about desserts. Desserts are those pleasures that are so great in moderation and can quickly take over if we're not careful or intentional about them. Okay, so we want to think about the desserts as treats, as fun, but to be enjoyed with intention, not mindlessly. Okay, so this could be scrolling through social media and reading updates from your friends or from the favorite people you follow or whatever. Maybe you're texting with friends back and forth just to chat. Maybe you watch a few episodes of your favorite show in the evening, or you play that video game for an hour. You set the timer, you play that video game, you work on the next level or whatever. Maybe it's browsing Pinterest for inspiration for something. Maybe it's watching a handful of YouTube shorts from your favorite creator. Maybe it's shopping for something that you've been looking for. Again, the key to the desserts section is that we're doing them in moderation. They're meant to be enjoyable. But again, we probably don't want to eat dessert all day, every day. That doesn't feel good in our body. We want well-balanced meals throughout the days, throughout the weeks, to ensure that we are feeling good and we're focused on what matters most to us. So, as a reminder, the dopamenu, it's not about denying ourselves the dopamine that our brains crave. No, we are working with our brains here. What we're trying to do is redirect that energy toward activities that actually support our goals and our priorities. Right? We're working with our brains, not against them. And by having these intentional options at the ready, we allow ourselves to stay on track when the urge for hyperfocus or distractions kick in. The dopamine is such a great resource to help us recognize when those moments when we might slip into an unhelpful habit or routine. It provides us this alternative path, this alternative option that helps us stay more aligned with the bigger vision that we have for ourselves. Whether it's a quick appetizer for a fast boost or a main course that leaves us feeling a little bit more fulfilled, the dopamenu gives us the choices that can serve us better. So this week, my challenge for you is to create your own dopamenu. And as I mentioned, I do have a free download that walks you through creating your very own. It has all of the prompts, all of the suggestions that we talked about today. So you have everything you need to create your personalized dopamenu at the ready whenever you need it. You can grab it through the link in the show notes, or you can head to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/menu. Okay, so go grab that PDF. Start creating your dopamenu today. Jot down your go-to activities that give you that quick boost when you need it. What's your favorite appetizer, that fast hit of joy? What are your main courses that leave you feeling accomplished? What sides make your tasks feel more enjoyable? And what are those desserts that are your fun treats that you want to indulge in every once in a while? The more personalized and accessible your menu is, the easier it will be to grab those moments when your brain starts craving that dopamine, as it inevitably does. Okay? So again, head to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/menu and start building your menu today. And I would love to hear about it. I would love to see what is on your menu. You can snap a screenshot and share it on Instagram. Tag me at I'mBusyBeingAwesome. I would love to hear about it. All right, my friends, that's going to do it for us this week. And don't forget, if you want to streamline your holidays and focus on what matters most to you and your loved ones this season, be sure to grab my holiday season blueprint. It is packed with over 70 pages of resources and guides to help you shape your season to work best for you. You can grab it now through the link in the show notes, or head to I'mBusyBeingAwesome.com/holiday blueprint, all one word. Also, do you know someone who would love to learn more about creating their own dopamenu? If so, would you be a rock star and share this episode with them? Maybe you send it to them in a text message, or you take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram stories. Again, tag me if you do so I can give you a shout out. Whatever you do, please know that I so appreciate you for both tuning in and for helping me get these tools to even more busy, awesome brains who need them. Until next time, keep being awesome. I'll talk with you soon.